Good morning. Today, I don't really know where to begin, but I've been guided to talk about two different aspects that are important for each and every one. You know, in any healing process, there's stages of grief, right? And overcoming the past or things that have been done to us. And of course, one of those aspects is forgiveness. And so let's read together here what this suggests forgiveness is about. First of all, to begin. And before we go any further, I'm going to pull a card at the beginning here, but not look at it, about forgiveness. Hope everyone's doing very well today. You know, it's challenging to, when, one of the aspects, for instance, about homeless people and things like that. So once you're down, right, and nobody to help you up, when you have some basic needs and nobody will be there for it, then we're all pushed towards inward, and something comes released, anger and or just all these deep and painful emotions, right? Let's see here. Let's take a card off the top, card out of the middle, one off the bottom. I'll put those aside. When uplifting each other is such an easy thing, when each of us has such basic needs. And so it's easy to, in the cycle of healing, to be going back and forth until one can rise out of that pit. But where is the pit? We're always in it. It's in the body. The body is the pit. And it's hard to do things for others when there's nobody to do things for. And we can only do so much for ourselves in a world where, if I need, I can't just be like, here's a good spot in the woods and build myself a little hut, make myself a tool or whatever and spend my time creating, in that fashion, which is a deep desire in all people, but especially in a man, right? Of wanting to make a fortress, and it starts as kids. You want to build a fort, you want to make a sword, and but then looking back into ancient history or whatever, like okay, so I decided I found this spot first. Well, somebody else is like, what? Why did he get to underneath the good tree when he got there first? Oh well, dead. No, now it's mine. Or oh well, I'm gonna make one over here, and then everybody's wasting their time telling the same ground, and that's why it has evolved to everybody goes to work, everybody has to get a house, or there's nowhere to go. There's no need to make one. And what is there to do unless we're elevating each other? We're learning, evolving, and it all happens on the spot, right? So forgiveness here is a complex and deeply personal concept they can have different meanings for different people. At its core, forgiveness involves a conscious decision to let go of feelings of resentment, anger, and a desire for revenge towards someone who has wronged you. It's not about condoning or forgetting the wrong that was done, but rather about releasing yourself from the emotional burden of holding on to those negative feelings, which can be challenged if we're in an environment where, you can't just quit and go to another job. You can't just, force anybody in your family to do better or to change in any way, shape, or form. And so, love is a lot deeper thing. When you have to take the goods and the bads, you could blame your spouse and kick them out the street. What's that going to do? They ain't going to do anything in a marriage, right? They ain't going to help anything. And there's no point in holding things in. And so it has to go somewhere. It has to be released. And it's a transformative process. See, forgiveness is not the same as reconciliation. Forgiving someone does not necessarily mean that you will reconcile with them or that you will continue to have them in your life. But in some cases, there's no choice, right? You can forgive someone while still setting boundaries or choosing to end the relationship. Well, in family, you can't really have that for near or far. Even relationships where, well, for instance, in my family, I don't know the death behind it in my stepdad, but I know him and his dad didn't get along at all. And so he didn't spend any time around the family. He left into the world and didn't come back until he was a grown man. And even then, their relationship tiptoed closer and closer, but mainly easier and closer as his dad was coming to his death. And that's not the way to do it, right? But that's the way it is for a lot of people. And then for my mother, well, she blamed a lot and everything on how her mother let people do things to her, or how wanted her to do things around the house and treated her badly. But she didn't see how her brothers and sisters grew up, because they were already grown up by the time she was born, as teens. And so then she put all her resentment of wanting to be one of the big kids on her mom, and then it got all wrapped up in her dad's death. And then as soon as her dad was dead, then she blamed everything on her mom. But then those two had battle, and ultimately my mother ran away and chose to have nothing to do with her, except for to come after she was dead. That was the last person to see my grandmother. Out of the whole family, everybody just ran away once they got what they needed in the world, and they pretty much abandoned her. And nobody ever reconciled or worked on the relationship, right? And then as soon as she was dead, they all came in and just wanted her stuff, wanted the money, and like she didn't matter. But without her, they wouldn't have their kids. They wouldn't have their life. They wouldn't have their stuff. They wouldn't have a breath in their chest. So through seeing our folks and the process of how this is played out generation after generation, that's how evolution and breaking generational curses goes. Forgiveness can take many forms, including forgiving others, forgiving yourself, and even seeking forgiveness from others. Forgiveness is often a process that unfolds over time, and it's a journey, not a single event. It can involve waves of anger, sadness, and acceptance, and it is not always a linear path, and very rarely so. It involves letting go of the need for the other person to apologize, to change, or to suffer for what they did. But we can still express it. And that's healing, because holding those kinds of things in, or negative emotions, only lead to our own deterioration. In some ways, it's better to beat yourself up over it and get it out however you can, and then to evolve from there, rather than to keep going back to the issue. And so that's why I believe God brought me back to this home and to the family as the rightful, the oldest, the man of the house, the man of the family, the one who has went out into the world, like Legends of the Fall, left and came back, and then just watches his family deteriorate. And then in the end, well, then there's your brother in war, or maybe drunk driving, or this and that. There's your parents, and they're holding on to grief and things, and get sick and this and that. And in the end, oh, what do you got? Oh, yeah, so I got all this inheritance, but what is it? Just got a shack that I grew up in. There's nobody left. Was it? Did it ever come together as a family? You know, it's painful things to think about and discuss. Every single person has to deal with that. I mean, you don't have to, but ultimately, yeah, you do. And if you don't, then it's much to one's own detriment. Huh. So with forgiveness comes this balance of justice, right? She holds a double-edged sword in one hand and a set of scales on the other. Symbolize the weighing of evidence and a need for balance and an impartial decision. Resulting in cause and effect. How do things get to be the way they are? And that's what I was just discussing, and how there's a cause and effect. These things don't happen on their own. And ironically, so the one who had the toughest life had to go out and learn the most, and then still doesn't necessarily get any respect or anything, and then those who are taken care of and babied, you could say, then they don't know what it's like to struggle and to lose everything, and have nowhere to go, or to have somewhere to go, but home's 1,000 miles away. Which is talking about this healing process, right? So, ironically, see, we all like these violent movies and blood and guts and stuff, or watching MMA, or watching comedy shows where right up in everybody's face, racist jokes. Everybody loves racist jokes or whatever until it's serious, And so then, see, my place is all that in one. At the same time, it's real, and it's still removed. It's comical. It's raw. And looking at music, not everything's all sunshine and rainbows, right? And so certain Snoop Doggy Dogg. Everybody, yeah, doggy style. And you got Dr. Dre the Chronic. At first, you know, everybody's like, oh my God. The kids loved it immediately. And the adults like, no, you can't see that. It's got explicit lyrics. Right? All right. That's funny. And Snoop had to beat a murder charge. And then, what is he now? He's a spokesperson for weed. Eminem. So he had to break through the Holy Spirit, gave him that power in order to elevate everyone. He had to take apart the ground floor, tied to drugs, right? Shizzle, Manizzle. Then you got Eminem. He had to battle his own mom. Okay, these are my brother's cats trying to break in the room. Snowflakes, quit. So then he had to battle his mom. And then once he got his money, then she wanted to lawsuit him to take it from him. And he was taught that he was sick when he wasn't. You know, Munchausen's syndrome and whatnot. These struggles are not very different than mine. And so my job is to take on the Holy Spirit, the Father, the Christ, and the Universal Mother, and to take the ice instead of the weed. I'd take the ice and carry all that shit forward as it, with it, without dividing. On the stand, the entire way. Second thing I want to talk about today, I guess. Here, in a moment of peace. Here, hide in my room. So, this is a little long. So, Christ has a head wound, right? I don't know how many people know that, but there's the head wound of Christ refers to a specific and often lesser known aspect of Jesus' suffering during his passion. What's my page if not the passion and passion in all aspects? While the Bible and traditional Christian are focused on the more visible wounds, the nails, wounds in his hands and feet, the crown of thorns, and the spear wound in his side, the head wound is believed to be a severe injury to his shoulder caused by carrying a heavy cross. In the physical aspect, my head wound is my neck. That was done by a business owner here in town, or through a bar where I was poisoned on the way out the door. And I was killed in a car accident on the way home. And they brought me back to life. And who knows what else they did to me. Then I had to suffer alone and carry that wound every day. And the more I use devices or the computer, the more it hurts. But I have to carry my head, including everyone else's. Crown of thorns and all. cross is here. Along with all the angels, all the demons, all the spirits, and every aspect of humanity, all in one place. Wow. Wherever I go, it looks like I got nothing and nobody with me. But all that's with me. And all those people journey with me. Kind of reminds me of Mecca. The journey to Mecca. So, hopefully, since no miracle has came to me, not yet, for a way out of this place, whatever that might mean, or a settlement in some universal court case, so that I have the resources that I need. Each day I have to journey here as it is. And if I get into school, well, I might have to walk to school every day or walk home. But I'm blessed. Thinking back to COVID, I would have to walk 2 miles each day just to go sit and charge my devices and borrow off the Wi-Fi to get some tarot videos, so that I had some people to support me. And I had a friend. Now, if I were to have to walk to school every day for the next year, hopefully I can get a car by the end of that. But, if I can't get a job, get any money to do so while I'm going to school, possibly to manage money, then, I'll have to walk a mile there, a mile back. And see, that's where gratitude comes in, because I'm grateful to have the place I have. I'm grateful to have the family I have, no matter what they're like, as long as they don't make me fear for my life, or, family's a challenging thing in every aspect, especially when there's only one family. It includes all people, everywhere. When the card relevance come out here. All aglow is in the work. Traceable connection between action and meaning and purposeful effort. And so, as I have gone through all these emotions and feelings of resentment, anger, or, what I've done for others and not been paid the same respect back, or taken advantage of, whatever, all that recording that I've done, it's hard to bear our wounds and to show naked in front of God and everybody and their dog, as my mom would say. But, for instance, if I were to die today, it's a record of my journey for others to learn and to heal and grow from through their own struggles, and know they're not alone. And, that's why music can be healing in many aspects, whether it's angry music, whether it's gospel music. I kind of feel like the reason why YouTube has suddenly gained this 18 plus status is due to me. But hey, YouTube has always had um, videos where you can see nudity or rap songs and say bitch and N word and all that stuff. And songs like by artists like Cupcake, real raunchy songs, right? And they're all rich. And that's funny. That's entertaining, right? But when it's real, everybody has to look in the mirror, look at themselves. And know every one of us is a sinner. No one is perfect. Everybody has painful feelings, whether it has to be towards our parents, our siblings, our community, people who have wronged us. And you still have to see them in the grocery store because the whole town is a family. That's what a community is. So, sure, you'll be like, oh, well, I don't like people at that church. I'm going to go to a different church. Sure. But in a weird way, it points out an issue in the community. But while each individual has the right to have their own beliefs or way to worship God, then and how to deal with life, it's funny how those are tiny communities where everybody comes together and does it together in one way, like a family. But everybody can leave, and then still has to go back to their family, and a quarter of the people there probably didn't want to get up and go that day, and some people there probably don't even believe in God, or and what makes one church different from another when each of us is the church, and each of us holds the divine light of God, and that's universal between every single human being, and every single person has the same core emotions. Every, everybody's got a head, everybody's got intestines, everybody's got a heart, everybody cries, everybody feels joy, anger, everybody gets sick, everybody's gonna die. So holding on to jealousy and anger and resentment towards each other isn't going to solve anyone's problem anywhere at all, unless we can hold on to them in a way where others can come and look at it like it's a tombstone. Everybody can come to the graveyard and come see it, pay respects, feel other people's emotions, listen to other people's thoughts for the personal and greater collective healing and growth, evolution of humanity. And one of the greatest aspects of it is we have to be able to speak about these things. So in a world where we're taught you're not allowed to talk about certain things, or everyone around you doesn't want to hear that, well, why not? It doesn't cost anything to open your ears. They're always open. It takes a lot more effort to close them. But your arms are still a lot lighter raising up to close them like this than it is to pick up your phone. Everybody to do that all day long. It doesn't take very much effort to turn and look somebody in the eyes and to be able to take it in. But very few people can. But they'll watch blood, guts, violence, sit through and watch commercials and shit. 8, 10, 12 hours a day. That won't bother them. They have somebody on the TV say the exact same things coming from somebody around them, explain how they feel or whatever. And that's a real hard concept. Why is that? Because we should have to look within ourselves, and healing and transformation comes from within. And by looking at ourselves and how we're part of it, how each of us got there, and how each of us can work together to elevate. Every word that I say becomes a prayer. Even cuss words. I am the author of my own story, as are you. That's what I want to leave this morning with. While I prepare to see where this day takes me. Good luck.